Hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? This is Ray Leonard Jr. again. I'm here for HBCU Heroes, and I have an amazing guest with me today, Mr. Eddie George, the legend himself, Ohio State Hall of Fame, NFL, Tennessee Titans Hall of Fame, and now the head coach of Tennessee State football. Mr. Eddie George, welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, it's my honor to be here with you, brother. You do such a phenomenal job, man. Big fan of your dad, of you, and what you do, man. It's been phenomenal. I didn't know that we were connected in so many different avenues from Ohio, your brothers at Fort Union. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be on with you today, my man.
Thank you, thank you. You know, a lot of the audience wants to know about your history. We've been talking about legacy and what does that mean. Tell us a little bit about your story when you leaving Fort Union to go to Ohio State. What was kind of your thought process, from going there to going to playing on the biggest stage you can look at.
Wow. Well, let's talk about how I got to Fort Union. that
right.
was a big deal. In short, my mother and my father grew up in a single parent home. My mother and father divorced when I was 7 years old. As a result of that, not having my father there consistently, I grew up rebelling against my mother, rebelling against authority, not really embracing my education. I talked a good game in terms of me wanting to play football somewhere, going to college, but I did not have the academic success to get me there. I didn't have the requirements to get me there. So my mother pulled me out of Abington High School in Philadelphia when I was 15 years old. I was going in my junior year and put me in the Fort Union Military Academy. So I went there as a student, not as an athlete. In fact, I was 6 foot, 168 pounds, soaking wet when I went to Fort Union Military Academy. I thought I was the greatest athlete to walk the earth and had no work ethic. And I was delusional about who I was and where I was going at that particular time. I was on a fast track to go nowhere. A dose of reality smacked me dab in the face when I got to Fort Union. I thought I was going to be the starter down there, and there were 2 running backs that were both 6'2", 225 pounds each, and they both ran 4.5 40s, getting recruited by everybody in the country. Wow. My coach told me, he said, "Hey, you know what? If you think you can start and beat them out, go ahead. You have all the power, the platform to do it. If you're that good." And lo and behold, I wasn't that good, and I realized early I had to learn humility. And I had to learn how to work. So my senior year, I had 1 year to get it done. I had my senior year at Fort Union Military Academy. I wind up rushing for 1,500 yards, 22 touchdowns. I was all state, all prep. And at the end of my senior year, I had 0 scholarship offers.
Wow.
By 0. And that spring, I recall sitting in his office. I would sneak down in his office, and there was a book about this thick with every college in the country, from Akron to Xavier. And over a 3-month period, I used my calling card and his calling card on his phone, the dial phone, and I called every school, their AD, their athletic director, the head coach. And my pitch was, I'm Eddie George, I'm at Fort Union Military Academy. I'm 6'3", 195 pounds. I run a 4.4 40. I would love the opportunity to walk on to university. And did that over a 3-month period, and I had 1 bite, and it was Georgia Tech. Lo and behold, I did not have the great academic the academic story to get in to Georgia Tech to even qualify to get in. So I decided that I was going to stay at Fort Union for my postgraduate year. And there was no guarantees. There was nothing that said, hey, you come back for another year, you want to go to any school you want to go to. I was subjecting myself to another year of discipline, another year of marching, another year of, not having my own schedule, another year of no freedom in pursuit of this goal that I had of playing at a major university. So fast forward, I go this summer back to Philadelphia. I work out, come back bigger, stronger, faster. At that time, I grew another inch. I was about 6'3", 218 pounds, and I was running, a 4.5 in the 40. So I looked the part. Now I just had to put the body of work together. Over the first 5 to 6 games, I rushed for over 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. And I began to get a lot of attention around the country. The first school that wanted me was Louisville, and they were hot and heavy on me. And I remember my buddy Roman Oben said, "Ed, they want you to come to Fort Union. They want you to come to Louisville. They want you to be running back this whole package they want to put you in." Then it was BYU, and then it was Nebraska, then it was Virginia. Then all of a sudden I started getting momentum. Well, how I got to Ohio State, just how God works. During my time at Fort Union, there was a guy there by the name of Danny Osmond. And Danny was my platoon sergeant my first year at Fort Union. And I hated Danny Osmond because he tortured me. He made me wax the hallways and buff it by myself. If I didn't do my chores, I had to clean the toilets with my toothbrush on my free time, all this stuff. I mean, just instilling discipline in me.
The military level a little different.
Oh, it's way different, especially back then at Fort Union. I mean, it was real.
Right.
And he was at Ohio State. He was an athletic trainer. Now, athletic trainer, they tape ankles. They are like the low person on the totem pole when it comes to influence. So he would call me from time to time to check me out. He heard I was having a great year at Fort Union, word of mouth. Back then there was no YouTube, there was no phones that you can find and see guys' highlights. This was traveling word of mouth. And he says, "Hey man, I hear you're having a great year. How would you feel about coming to Ohio State?" And back then I'm like, yeah, I would love to come to Ohio State. I mean, but there's a lot of competition there. You got Robert Smith, Raymond Harris, Butler Benote, Jeff Cawthorn, William Houston, and all of them played in the NFL, right, at some point in time. And I was not afraid of competition, but I just wanted an opportunity to play running back. So I said, "Danny, you know what? You're an athletic trainer. How the hell are you going to get me in front of, John Cooper or the recruiting coordinator? I mean, take your shot, but we'll see." And I said, "You know what? You do that. Give me a call later." So he calls me back about 2 days later, says, "Send me up a tape." So I get my tape together. Now, back then, you got to get the tape together in the VHS. You got to put it in the envelope. You got to send it off. It's a 2 to 3 week turnaround process, right?
Right. Yep.
So I do just that. Call him. Send it up to him. He calls me back. He sends get a message on my desk telling me to call Danny Osmond. I run down the payphone, call Danny Osmond. I say, "Daddy, what's going on?" He says, "Oh my God, Eddie, they absolutely love what you're doing. They love you as a running back. We need another tape." I was like, "Okay." Hung up the phone, get another tape together. And granted, I only played 6 games. So I put together 2 more games, 3 more games or something like that. Send it back to him. And the next 2 weeks, he calls me back. He says, "Oh my God, they absolutely love you, man. They are raving about you. They want to see more. Send up another tape." I'm like, "Dude, I have no more tape. There's nothing else I can send."
Yeah.
The short of it is they wind up coming down to Fort Union. I passed the eyeball test. They invite me up for a visit to Ohio State. And on that visit, it was probably the worst visit that I've had because I was at a military school and I wasn't around women. And they tried to match me with a guy that they thought would be my personality. So I wound up spending that time in his apartment watching movies the entire time. I'm like, dog, listen, I got 48 hours. So you got to show me, where
Right.
the girls at. I mean, I
you
got,
supposed to have a love, right?
right.
That's crazy.
All the other recruits are out partying and I'm up in somebody's apartment
Wow.
talking about, military history. Like, what are you doing? But anyway, long story short, I wind up committing right there on the spot at Ohio Stadium because I had a gut feeling that this was the place for me. This was the next step for me. And it took for somebody to see the potential in me to play at that high level and for me to take that chance to go there.
Wow, that's insane because most people don't understand the journey. They see the finished product and they see, where you got to, but they didn't understand. They won't know about you making phone calls back in the day with your phone card. Like you took me way back. Like to have a phone card, and you stand there and you dialing for dollars right there. It's insane to go to think about that. And you brought something else back because you talked about Georgia Tech. I had committed to Georgia Tech. So that could have been insane. We were the same time, same age, but Bobby Ross left, so I decided to go to Ohio, but I could have been in the backfield with Eddie George.
And that's done that. And that's when they came off of their national championship run too.
Exactly. That's that same year.
1990, yeah. They beat Virginia, they beat Terry Kirby, those boys, Herman Moore. Man, they had a great team. They had an exceptional team. So, wow. Yeah, it could have been a nice little backfield back in the day.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, you would have got the ball way more than me. But so, when you look back from your journey, from what you had to go to get where you are, I know there's a bigger appreciation, for it because of the journey that you had. And when you look back on your legacy, not just in college, but in the NFL and what you've done, post NFL, what is the biggest lesson that you learned along that path?
Oh man, the biggest lesson I've learned along the path of my journey was it was selfless. It was selfless along the way, and meaning that it was never really about me. It was about fulfilling a dream. I love playing the game of football. But it was, getting my mom out of, financial distress and my family members. It was becoming a better teammate and helping the younger guys, mentoring to them to be better players, better people, providing a blueprint that was given to me, setting the standard. The accolades are all great, no question. But it was the relationships that were created, that have been established over the years, the memories that were created, and just the lessons that I've learned through the years that allowed me to do what I'm doing now as a coach, as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a mentor. It's definitely served its purpose. So that journey, those years of experience, the highs and the lows, and certainly the lows, taught me a lot about overcoming adversity and being spiritually ready for warfare on all levels. So that's what that continues to show me and teach me.
Wow. And now we can go on and talk about your illustrious career, but I want to talk about where you are now at HBCU, and you were with the legendary Steve McNair. Rest his soul. You didn't have a lot of guys from HBCUs around that time in the NFL. So what was that conversation like? Did you guys ever have conversations about HBCU? Is that something that lended you to where you are now?
You know what? With Steve and I, well, listen, I knew about HBCU football growing up. I was a huge football fan, huge college football fan. So Eddie Robinson, when you think of HBCUs, you think of Eddie Robinson. You think of Tennessee State. You think of Walter Payton, Jerry Rice. I believe Aeneas Williams, but came from HBCU. So they, it wasn't foreign to me at all. I mean, you look at the NFL Hall of Fame, the GOAT of all GOATs came from HBCUs, Richard Dent, Claude Humphreys from Tennessee State. So it's very rich in football tradition, well respected. Now, the difference back then, as well as now, between HBCUs and Power Five schools or Division I schools is not so much the skill position. It's about, I guess, the exposure that you get. You didn't have the exposure like you do now, like you had back then, and the resources, of course, the facilities. That's a big difference between the two. I wanted my family to see me play football, and HBCU football wasn't on television like it was for the other schools. So I think that's been the biggest difference. But the quality in play, man, listen, if you can play, the NFL is going to find you. That's not the issue. It's about the overall experience. And now, being in the coaching seat, being at a HBCU and having gone to a PWI in Ohio State, there is a huge difference in terms of resources and funds available and upkeep. And some of it is, due to the fact that they don't have the resources like other schools. And some of it is self-inflicted. And that has to be challenged. You have to meet mediocrity at every corner in terms of how you conduct business, how you're doing things moving forward in the 21st century. It's 2021 and we're still, operating business practices that were back in the 70s. They no longer serve you. It's got to be more forward thinking and thinking out the side of the box, or matter of fact, eliminating the box in a lot of these areas in order for this gym to really shine the way it should. So, I guess in a roundabout way, you didn't ask that question directly, took me down this path, but, talking to Steve, that was the biggest difference. That was the only difference. But in terms of the love, the respect, the quality of education is on par with anything else.
Well, and you know what? The conversation is the same. I was talking with Everson Walls and Tyrone Poole and Hugh Douglas yesterday, and they had a lot of the same things that you're saying about the transparency with the leadership and the need for additional funding, but then exposure for the young men that are there right now. My son is a freshman receiver at Grambling State, so I know Hugh Jackson's going down there now. So, what kind of advice do you give the young men that are making these moves to HBCUs right now? Because you're seeing a milestone change, that guys that would never probably have considered HBCU are looking to go to HBCUs right now. What kind of advice do you give these young men about, going there and not just worrying about playing ball, but getting your education and being the best person that you can be?
Well, HBCUs, and each one is different. I only can really speak for Tennessee State. You get a quality education here. The level of intimacy is it's very pure. It's authentic. It's you're in classes where the teachers by name, and the teachers know you by name. You're not just a number coming in, and they truly care about your well-being. The network that you tap into is very vast and deep, and goes beyond. Oprah Winfrey is an alum of Tennessee State University. There are a plethora of successful entrepreneurs that have gone on to be successful after Tennessee. They're very passionate about Tennessee State. So it's not about, just coming to a university and going to the NFL or to the NBA. The relationships after that, the platform that's used after that goes on beyond the grave, goes to generational wealth. And that's what you have to tap into. I think this brand and what a lot of HBCUs offer is definitely that, So it goes well beyond just you just coming here to play football and hopefully going to the league and making millions of dollars. And that's fine, but it offers so much more than that. I believe that, again, if you have aspirations of playing at the next level, you can do it from anywhere. Why not do it at a place where you're building the platform? I tell these kids to say, hey, you can be a small fish in the ocean or a big fish in a pond, but we're building an ocean. This is what we're building for. We're building bigger platforms. We want to make this a prominent university on all fronts, from academics to athletics. So I think the playing field is starting to even out. And you saw what Dion has been able to do at Jackson State. He has really made them a national brand in a matter of 12 months. Every other day is something positive about Jackson State, whether it's signing the #1 recruit or them getting a new endorsement deal with Barstools or whatever corporation. It's going beyond the normalcy of athletics and the athletic business. So I think it's tremendous, and it puts a lot of pressure and accountability to myself and other coaches that are in the HBCU experience to do just that, to take it up to another level, to notch it up to a completely different level.
Fantastic. I know we're coming to the end here, but I want to commend you and Dion and Hugh and all you guys that are putting your time and talent, where your mouth is. A lot of people have talked about we need to make commitment to our schools, make commitment to our communities, and it's a lot of times it's just conversation. But you guys have done it, so I thank you and I appreciate you. Every time I hear about Eddie George, you're one of the most well-respected people, not just players but people and men around the whole industry. So I appreciate you. My last question before we get out of here. If you were talking to a 19-year-old Eddie George now, and he has the opportunity to choose between a Power 5 and HBCU, how would that conversation go?
I think it would go well. I think, when I talk to these kids now, you have to follow their heart. It's not about, again, it's not about just going somewhere just to be seen, or it's a popular thing to do, like going to Alabama. I mean, you can, or Clemson or Ohio State, wherever that may be, if that's in your heart to play in front of 100,000 fans, and you love the game and you love the pageantry, the tradition around that, I can't knock that. That's something I wanted to be a part of. But that's also something that Tennessee State has here or anywhere else. You can still have that same experience and still get to where you want to go. And it may look differently. So I would tell him, a 19-year-old, like I would tell any 19-year-old, follow your heart, but get all the facts and the information so you can make an educated decision and let the spirit guide you to where you need to be and where you want to go. Because Tennessee State is not going to be for everybody. Like Ohio State is not going to be for everybody. You have to find out what's true to you and go to that and be committed to that through and through and see it all the way through, So I'm not opposed to, going to one school over the other. You have to find the right fit for you and live out your purpose.
Oh man, that's a phenomenal answer. Sign me up, coach. So, when you look back at it, I think, you taking the time to be at HBCU, you are HBCU hero. Dion's HBCU hero, Eddie Robinson, Eddie George, We got so many legends that are taking the time and making a difference in these young people's lives. So I salute you. No, I thank you for everything that you're doing, and look forward to hearing more down the line. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Ray Leonard Jr. with the legendary Eddie George, and we have Mr. George Lynch is on here.
What's
Hey,
good,
what's up,
Eddie,
George? How
man?
you
Hey,
doing,
man, I wanted to give you a shout out, man. I talk to your boy Ricky Dudley every day, man.
Oh, that's my dude, man.
Yeah,
Yes,
he
yes,
said he's gonna reach out to you, man. I appreciate you
yeah.
coming on, helping us, man. Because everything you said is why Tracy and I started HBCU Heroes, man. I was coaching at Clark, same thing, man. Resources, trying to get alumni to support, their schools, to give back. And the other thing, we wanted to start HBCUs, and why we're doing this career summit was we got to help our kids get better jobs
Yep.
so they can give back. That was one of the things, with a lot of my players at Clark, they didn't have $5 for a Subway sandwich, man. And it
Yep.
was, just the stuff that we had at Ohio State, at North Carolina, I know sometimes I didn't take it for granted, but some of the athletes there took it for granted.
Yes.
10 pair of shoes, you go take the shoes back to the equipment room, they give you another pair. My guys had 2 pair of shoes for the whole season.
Yep.
So those are
Yep.
the things, everything you talked about, man, is bigger than, the glitz and glamour that these Power Fives have. And like you said, go with your heart, but, give these HBCUs an opportunity to invest in your child.
No question.
I appreciate it, man.
And again, to your point, man, these schools, especially, for Tennessee State, this is a gem that needs to be polished off and have a little love, and just to get the momentum going in the right direction, that this is going to be a sustainable model. And I'm just amazed across the front, from the colleges that are here, from agriculture to business school to their engineering school, are all top schools. And, with the success of athletics, it impacts enrollment, it impacts the other businesses, the other area around the community. So it's bigger than just winning football games. It's an economic empowerment project that I'm seeing across the front. And it's just truly remarkable. And again, we have to get out of our own way in a lot of areas in terms of how you do business, and how you need to be more proactive in certain areas, in fundraising and strategic planning, maintenance. All of that stuff makes a huge difference, So it's bigger than just football. In fact, I'm teaching a course that I taught at Ohio State called The Business of Professional Sports this spring at Tennessee State, which we're going to cover the entire gamut of the business, from agents to financial advisors to business managers to case studies on personal development, where guys have, entourages and baby mothers, and, all of that you want to experience. And certainly after the game is, how do you leverage that over 13 weeks so they can get a true sense of the business that they're going in. So if you make it, and if you're blessed enough to go through it, the NFL or NBA or another profession, you'll understand it. You'll know the players involved. You'll know the language that's associated with it. You'll know the business terms, a CBA, what that is, what that looks like moving forward, how you fit into that. Not to sign a POA, a power of attorney, to no one, and why. And especially now with the name, image, and likeness, it behooves you to set up an LLC now, because guess what? If you are getting $1 million deal, you're going to go in that $1 million tax bracket, and that's that you won't have to pay taxes. So I'm more interested in teaching them holistically through football. And that's it. I know I'm rambling on and on, but
We're going to be back with you though, because we want to support what you're doing, and we do this all over the country with a whole bunch of different advertisers and sponsors and people like yourself who are giving back. Ray's been rolling with us for several years now, so we just want you to know we're going to be coming back with you. Rob Covington is actually one of our HBCU heroes. He supports a lot of the stuff. Yep.
Yeah,
he was
Rob
one of the first ones. Yep.
Well, at some point when I do the class, my point in saying all that, I would look for George and Ray and you, Tracy,
definitely, man. Yeah, definitely. Just let me know. Let me know. I'll be there.
Anytime. I was an agent for 10 years, so I know that inside game, inside and out.
Yeah.
Tell you. Yeah, but we appreciate you. So, thank you. I know you got to get going. So, Tracy, George, it was an honor to do this again. So, we appreciate you guys.
Thank you.